So this was a piece of news that sat in my inbox for the past couple of weeks. It was sent to me through one of my insider sources, and it just sat there for a while. And I didn't want to talk about it on the podcast because I felt it was a little dicey. I didn't know if any of the information was correct. A lot of people send me a lot of stuff claiming it's news, and then it's just them trolling, if anything. But this one, a lot of it started to come to fruition. A lot of it started to become real. And now I feel like it's the time to start talking about this list, because potentially it could be completely a window into what's going to be our 2022 and 2023 lineup. So let's jump into that, shall we? And let's talk about what we have here. So what was on this list that really tipped me over and made me want to do this segment after all this time? Well, on this list, it talked about the next HasLab and mention of Starsaber. And, you know, that HasLab teaser pretty much is putting it right in our face that that's what the big boy is going to be. It also mentioned about a Galvatron in toy colors. It also mentioned about, a Jurassic Park 2-pack that's going to have a Rexy and a Ford Explorer. And this was sent to me way before we saw it. So there was a lot of things here that I was like, okay, all the boxes are being checked off. So let's jump into that. So they talk about here how Kingdom and Studio Series 86, what's going to be the end of it until we move into the next era of Transformer toys for us. So they mention here how there's going to be one final wave with Kingdom, and it'll have Blaster in it, along with Eject, and it's being moved up to 2022. So we're going to be getting a Blaster and an Eject at some point. They mention how in Studio Series 86 that Sludge is going to be the last leader class of 2022, the last of the Dinobots, and that Swoop is going to be coming later, and there's no sign yet of a Snarl, primarily because of his... He is there, but he isn't there when it comes to the 86 movie, but that's a whole other discussion in itself. There's also mention of Pterosaur being part of the Golden Disc collection, and that it's going to be a massive retool of the Air Razor mold, and it's going to also have a orange Tigatron repaint with the mutant head mask, which that I really dig. That's actually pretty clever. That throws back to the old art of Tigatron with the mutant head. So that's pretty cool that we're going to be getting a Tigatron in his Tony the Tiger colors, if you will, with his mutant head based on the old packaging art, unreleased packaging art, if you will. There's also a mention of a Worlds Collide multi-pack, and of course we ended up knowing what that is in the end. Again, it was talked about right here, and how it was going to have a toy Black Arachnia, and a evil Optimus Primal, and a Headmaster Jr. So, right on the nose. And that's why I'm like, oof, I got to talk about this stuff now, because this whole thing is starting to really shape up. And this was weeks ago. Also mentioned that we're going to be getting a Sweep and a Junkion, which will be mild redeco and retools of Scourge and Wreck-Gar. We know about that. And then we jump into the big stuff. The 2022 Generations line. What will be coming after Kingdom? It's a mention of a new trilogy starting with the brand of titling called Legacy. And it's going to be pretty much doing it the same way that the Classics, Universe, and Generations line did things prior to that of the Combiner Wars era, where there was more of a storytelling aspect and a shared concept. Combiners or Headmasters or whatever, Titan Masters. So they're going more towards, hey, let's just do what we feel would be fun to revisit from the 35 to 40 to 60 to 100 years of the brand that the previous ones did. So the first mention here, the big one, Commander Class Motormaster with trailer will be the Commander Class for that year. Of course, also accompanying him will be the Stunticons. Now, if Motormaster is a Commander Class, the question is then... how big are those Stunticons? Are they going to be deluxes? Makes more sense. Are they going to be Voyagers? Makes less sense. But I'm curious how deluxe Stunticons will attach to a commander class. Maybe it does work out with the shaping and everything. Maybe that trailer is going to be more gimmicky based, like how a lot of those Scramble City main leader pieces also had base modes. It's a pretty much unknown, undocumented feature with a lot of them that a lot of people don't know about, like how Silverbolt could be like a plane ramp, and Onslaught could be like a little artillery base with a little ramp on him too. So there was something going on there. So I think they might revisit that in some shape or form. Now, there's also a mention here that the main Generation 1 Insecticons of Bombshell, Shrapnel, and Kickback will be getting deluxe scale toys. The thing is, though, they don't know if it's going to be part of this Legacy line or part of the 2022 86 Studio Series line. We also have a Perceptor that's going to be part of the Studio Series 86 line. It'll be a deluxe price point. There's also a retool of Earthrise Starscream that will be part of the Studio Series 86 line called King Starscream, which will obviously have the accompanying stuff to make him that. And then we have also a mention of Tarantulas, deluxe class. Skids, Generation 1, deluxe class. 4 Transformer Prime characters in Transformers Prime Optimus Prime, Transformers Prime RC, Transformers Prime Knockout, and a Transformers Prime Bulkhead that apparently is going to be a heavy redeco and retool of Optimus Prime. I'm kind of curious how that's going to work out, but that's what they say here. Also a mention here, because of the Worlds Collide collection, with the inclusion of Fangry, we're going to get other Headmaster Juniors like Nightbeat and Hosehead and Sirens, and that's a big deal because getting those 3 leads to Master Force versions like Minerva and Cab and Go Shooter or Shooter. So that's really awesome. That's really, really awesome. Then there's a mention here that there's also a Straxus coming. That is going to be not a retool of Galvatron, but using the same kind of general DNA and engineering. Looks similar, but is not the same toy. And is also planned to be part of a repack where they're going to repack Galvatron again at some point with that Straxus, along with a leader class Blitzwing. Interesting, because we had a leader class Astro Train. Makes me wonder what the future might be for Triple Changer Decepticons. And last but not least, we jump into just some little things here and there. The placement of where Swoop's going to be in all of this. The Studio Series 86 Swoop. Essentially, he will be next, and the future of Snarl is unclear, but Sludge will be the next one, part of the Studio Series 86. Swoop will probably be after, and Snarl is still unknown what his situation will be. There will be more Beast Wars. There will be more Transformers Prime. That is the market. Those are the kids spending money. That's the flavor going into 2022. There will be a Titan class for 2022. It might be the last. It might not. It is still unclear. There's vague hints that it will be the Nemesis, but we will see with that. That information is still pretty, limited because of how far out something like that would be. There's also the possible shift that has been rumored before about 2 commander classes a year instead. And then there's the mention of Reminder, the Micromasters didn't do well. They were very bad. They didn't sell very well. I talked about that actually previously on one of my Patreon questions. So they're not going to be coming back. There is a possibility of Pretender shells, but nothing still 100%. And there is planning, and this is the last thing, 2023 will be the Unicron trilogy year, and it is primarily because the Supreme Class Unicron, our very first Unicron toy in retail, debuted in 2003, so it would be the 20th anniversary of getting him. Thus, need I say more what is going to be coming in 2023? And that is all of this list. So interesting stuff. Interesting stuff, to say the least. A lot to take in here. I know it's a lot to decompress. I don't know how much of this list is legitimate, but considering that this list was sent to me many weeks ago, and then slowly all these little pieces of news started to debut that was on this list many weeks before that were confirming it. That's why I'm sharing it with you all today. We shall see what happens if any of this becomes legit, but there's a lot to take in here, and it's pretty exciting for different walks of life. If you're a Beast Wars fan, there's stuff to love. If you're a Unicron Trilogy fan, there's stuff to love. If you're a Transformers Prime fan, there's stuff to love. If you're a G1 fan, there's stuff to love. And if you're a obscure, weird Master Force fan like me, or alternatively even the Marvel Comics, there's stuff to love. A lot of cool stuff here. This is pretty hype. 2022 and 2023 are going to be our year, if that's the case, for diversity of the Transformer brand and a little bit of it, something for everyone. And that makes everyone smile too. Let me know what you think about this. Pretty cool stuff. And I hope we're all going to have a really good week, because it's going to be a big one.